Hello and welcome to Access Paranormal, and this week we are in conversation with Steve White from Merseyside Paranormal. Then it's Junior Paranormal Spooky Adventures, where they went to the Healey Dell Tea rooms. They're going to tell you all about that not far from the end of the show. So without further ado, this is the conversation I had with Steve from Merseyside Paranormal. Hello, welcome to Access Paranormal here in Mill Street Barracks tonight. And why am I in Mill Street Barracks? Because I've met up with a brilliant person who I've met for a couple of years now, Steve White.
Yeah.
From Merseyside Paranormal. Welcome to the show, Steve.
Yeah, thank you very much.
It's been a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a while since. Well, you've had a little break yourself from the barracks, haven't you?
I certainly have. Yeah.
I mean, we've been here quite a few times in recent months, but yeah. But unfortunately, it wasn't. We haven't seen you here since. Was it last year?
Oh, must be a year since I last saw you. But you haven't been on the show. Can't remember. Have you been on the show? You have?
No. You've kept meaning to get me on, but never got round to it.
How can I not remember that you haven't been on the show? But I've got you here tonight, and I'm made up for that.
Yeah.
I keep saying, you're right. I keep saying to you, Steve, you've got to do it. We never done it.
Yeah.
Now I've got you.
Yeah.
And I've got you on one of the coldest nights.
I know. It's been freezing. It's warmer outside than it is in here.
I know. Yeah. So Steve, tell us about your group, Merseyside Paranormal.
It's different, I suppose. It's been up and down over the years. We've been together quite a long time now. Billy, who's with me tonight, he's been with me since the very, very start. God knows how many years it's been now. It's quite a lot. I've lost count. And he started off as a guest.
Right.
And as a paying guest. And I think it was... I'm not sure what it was, Newsham Park or a Pontefract House or something like that, and he came as a guest. And I worked with him at Jaguar Land Rover at the time, and I could see he's got a passion for it. And he kept on coming. Every event we did, he kept on coming. In the end, I said, look, do you fancy being like a part-time member? And he went, yeah. And within a couple of events, I said, nah, it's yours if you want to come on board full time. And he's been the most loyal team member we've had. Back in the time when we started, my brother was with us. He disbanded. He went off on his own.
Yeah.
We've the spiritual medium. I was telling you before. She's left us again, but she was with us from the start with Billy, but she's left, come back. You know, she's been up and down like a fiddler's elbow. But Billy's always been there. Billy's been the most loyal member. He's seen a lot of group members come and go in the past. And we've had some good people have had to leave because of circumstances changing and the home life and whatever. A couple of members we've had to sort of asked to leave because they've not been a team player and they've not had the other members' backs and stuff. You've got to have each other's back because you can find yourself in a situation where you need help.
Oh, definitely.
And if your team member's not got your back and you can't rely on their help, they're not a team player, they're not a team member, are they? So, so, you know, we've had a few ups and downs with team members, but Billy's been the most loyal member. Sabrina, who we've got now, and Graham, unfortunately, he couldn't be with us tonight because it's his brother's stag do, and he said, as much
He's
as
gone through stag do and left you in the lake.
As much as he wanted to be here with us tonight, he said, I can't let my brother down, which is understandable.
You can't have that, Steve. That's not loyalty,
I know,
is it?
but you know, he's not been with us. He's been with us about 12, 18 months, and he's already showing he's got the bug and he's passionate about it, you know. So and he's really gutted he can't. He's really gutted he can't be here tonight.
So his brother must be important to him.
yeah.
So tell us some of the places you've been to, Steve.
Well, we've been a lot of places. Like I was telling you before, we don't do as many public events as what we used to do.
Yeah.
We used to be always doing all kinds of events. And when we first started, the majority of our work was always in Yorkshire. And we were more well known around the Yorkshire area, even though it was Merseyside Paranormal.
Yeah.
And not many people in Merseyside knew us, because we were always doing stuff up there, and we used to be quite frequent on, is it Pulse Talk Radio? Over there? Yeah, we've been on that quite a few times. And we was getting quite well known in Yorkshire. And then it was people showing interest round this area, saying, well, why don't you do something round here? So I said, okay, we'll do something round here. And this was the first place we did.
Oh, Mill Street Palace?
Yeah, round here. Yeah.
And you've never left it since, have you, really?
No, never left it since. To be honest with you, the first time we did it, we like I said to you, we take pride, and all my team know that I'm passionate about not staging or setting anything up.
Yeah.
And if any of them get caught doing anything like that,
out the door.
They're out the door.
Yeah.
And we don't do it, and I've got a good team, and we never set out up and stage anything. And so we come here the first time, and it was a bit flat. The energy levels was very low, and we didn't get much. Bit of K2s, not much going on. And then I thought, right, okay, we've done it. But then people who missed out on it and couldn't book were saying, I wanted to go on that, but I couldn't do it, I couldn't make it, blah, blah, blah. Are you booking it again? Doing it again? And I thought, well, the majority of our work was in Yorkshire, but we have had you can have a flat night anywhere. The energy levels are low, you can have a flat night where nothing happens.
And that can be in the biggest of places.
Yeah,
as well.
Yeah, exactly. So I thought, right, okay, I'll book the barracks again. So we booked it the second time, and it was just unbelievable. We had all kinds, absolutely all kinds. We had a fantastic night, and since then, we've been pretty regular. You know, we're fast becoming regulars here.
Well, you usually ring me up, don't you, and say, we're in Mill Street, so you come down.
Yeah.
And that was the time when I wasn't here.
Yeah.
Which was a shame, really, because I do enjoy it when you're here.
Yeah, it was only a couple of months ago, and I phoned you up, and I said, and you had to wait for your wife. I said, if my wife gets home, I'll come down and join you or something.
Yeah.
And
because of the car.
Yeah, and yeah. Anyway, unfortunately you couldn't get to us, but
no.
That's when you was having a bit of time out from Mill Street, and I said, come down and join us, but you couldn't get here, which was a shame, really. But that night was fantastic as well.
I remember you ringing me up saying everything what happened, and I'm like head in my hands thinking,
yeah.
The night I'm not there, everything happens, because
that was when
you had stones thrown at you or something that night.
No, that was the time after that. That particular night, I think I've explained to you when some of the guests wanted to have a go at table tilting, and I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of it at all, because I have a theory. Whereas if you've got 4, 5, 6 people stood around a little table with a finger on it, at some point you start shifting the weight from one foot to the other. And if a couple of people do that together, and the floor's got to be perfectly level, and if it's not, a couple of people shift the weight from one leg to the other, that table's going to move. So I've always been a bit sceptical on table tilting. So anyway, they wanted to do it, so I'm scrutinising it, watching it, and if that table moved, I expected their finger to be in the same place and see the table move under the finger. So their finger was only ever so lightly touching it, making contact, so the table moved underneath their finger. I know their finger wasn't pushing it. So I was scrutinising it, and we had 2 tables going with 2 groups on them, and they were going crazy. One of the tables actually flipped over, and you can go and examine it if you want downstairs now. Big hairline crack right across it. And I remember years ago when Andy was here, and he shown me, this is one on the run up to our very first time in this building. And I phoned Andy up and said, before we do our first night here, can we meet up and show me around the building so I don't look stupid, like, I know what's what and where to go. And he went, yeah, no problem. And he took us down the cellar, and my brother was talking to Andy, and I wandered off on my own, and I went into the end right room in the cellar, and there's a little doorway with no door, but
that's
like
the one I don't go in.
yeah.
I know which one you're
And I went in that corner, and I stood there on my own, and I could sense something was there with me. And then I asked it to show me a sign or do something, and it stroked the back of my hand. I thought, yeah, there's definitely something in this building. And I came out, and Andy was talking to my brother, and he said, and he looked at me and he said, what? And I went, something definitely here. I said, it's just touched my hand down there. And then Andy said, oh yeah, definitely down in here. This is a hot spot, the cellar in here. And he said, and he pointed to the table similar to mine.
Yeah.
He said, see that table? And it was smashed to smithereens. He said, that was table tilting. It just went crazy on its own, smashed up. And I thought to myself at the time, this is when I was very sceptical about it. I thought, I don't know whether to believe that really, you know what I mean? I thought, not to that extent, surely. And until I seen it with my own eyes in that same room, it was just unbelievable.
Well, I'm the same as you with the table tipping and everything else, and because you've got to have a sceptical mind. It's you've got to think logically.
Oh yeah, you've got to. That's the whole art on this game is. You've got to try and debunk everything, everything, and if you can't debunk it, you know, and you've not, you know, if you're a genuine group and you don't stage or set anything up and you cannot debunk something, I don't put a lot of the stuff and footage I capture is for me and the group. We don't put a lot of stuff on social media and that because you get trolls, armchair paranormal, and they just try and draw you into an argument. I don't need to fight my corner because I know that's real.
Yeah.
And if they've got the right to their opinion, and if they think different, so that's be fine, it. But yeah. I very slowly stopped putting stuff on because of that, because I just couldn't be bothered trying to justify what I've put on because I know it's real.
Yeah.
So yeah. I just use social media for advertising events and stuff like that now. But I don't.
That's the thing with the paranormal.
I've got a lot of footage at home and some really good stuff. I've even shown you bits on my phone. Some good stuff.
That's the thing, isn't it? You know it's real.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah.
And when you put it out there, there's going to be someone who's going to pick.
Oh yeah, they do it all the time.
I get it because it's healthy to have a good side as well as the those who are looking at it and trying, it could be this, but you do get the trolls who are just out there to cause an argument, and that's wrong.
Yeah.
A healthy conversation is a good conversation when you do it like that. Now, go back to the table tipping, Steve. It happened to me in the classroom. As you go up the stairs, you turn left and you go to the classroom.
That's where the door got kicked open for us. Earlier on. Yeah.
Well, in there, you know how heavy them tables are in there.
Oh yeah.
Quite a few years back, I'd say, must be 6 or 7 years ago now.
And you're doing table tilting with them?
Yeah, and it literally, I've said this on the show before, it literally went up on I'd say a 70-degree angle. Everybody moved their hands away from the table and it stayed on that angle.
Yeah.
And the strangest thing is we had a glass on the table and we had a K2 on the table. They never come off. They stayed on. Yeah. And I just went, can you put the table down, please? And the table went down, and you've seen how heavy they are.
Yeah.
The table went down as if someone was putting it down.
A lot of energy to do that.
But from that,
where to them?
But when you say about kicking the door, that's energy.
Well, yeah.
But from that day to
I thought the door was going to come off the hinge, and I didn't have a camera pointing at it, and I thought, oh my God, I was absolutely made up that this door got kicked open with such force. I thought, wow, and I didn't have a camera pointing at it, and I thought, no way, I didn't get that on film.
The strange thing is. Bill, who was in our group, he turned his camera off because I asked him to.
Yeah.
When the table started to, we missed it.
That's always the case, isn't it? That's why tonight we've had a camera-free night, just doing audio and triggered objects and everything, thinking, we'll get more because the cameras are not rolling, because usually that's the case, but it has been a bit quiet tonight for some reason.
Well, going into your paranormal investigations, it doesn't matter which where you are, What's the one what sticks in your mind? What possibly frightened you, or it was just?
There's only one ever frightened me, and I don't like talking about it.
It's fair enough, yeah.
And that's a lot of people, a lot of skeptics slate that place off, but I'll tell you now, that thing in that house is dangerous.
Right.
And that's the Pontefract house.
Okay.
They call it the Black Monk of Pontefract. And anyone listening wants to do the work and research on it, I suggest you can read the book Black Monk of Pontefract by Bill Bungay.
Bill Bungay.
He's the film director what bought the house, what done the film When the Lights Went Out. There's a 2-page story in that about what happened to me in there, and well, to my friend and me getting him out. And but because of what happened to my friend, I verbally abused that thing in that house, called it some nasty names. And I was working with Andy Evans and Steve Hemingway. Now, if you want to know more in depth, which seems more likely to be the truth about the house, is read their books, Steve Hemingway. And Steve Hemingway's book is called, what is it now? Living with Malice, I think it's called.
Living with Malice.
And Andy Evans is the Oasis song it's named after.
I don't know any of the Oasis. I'm going to sound old now, but I don't know any of the Oasis songs.
Anyway, you can get them online. Just you type in Steve Hemingway, Andy Evans, and they spent 100 nights in their house.
Wow.
And they've done a lot of research. They even went to the local monasteries and looked through all the archive records about a monk, possibly what it could have been, and it's not a monk. It's definitely not a monk, but it is dangerous, very dangerous. And the things it done to me and into my house and affected my family life and everything, again, it's something I don't really like to talk about it. And it's because of that I've got these...
Yeah, your new tattoos.
My new tattoos of the St Benedict's for protection. I have to put protection around me most days. And people say, well, why do you still do it if something so bad happens to you like that? The good always outweighs the bad, the way I look at it. If we do a house clearance and a little child can sleep at night, that makes it worthwhile. Not, it's not all about investigating buildings like this. It's doing other work as well, which we do.
And that's behind the scenes, really.
Yeah. And it makes it all worthwhile. And when we do our what we call project nights, which are not events, and say like we done quite a lot of Lead Chapel at Towton, where the Battle of Towton was from the War of the Roses.
Yeah.
And when you're getting some good communication with a crusader from that battle, and then you go, wow, he's talking to me here. I'm having a conversation, a communication with this crusader, what died before my great-granddad was even born. And that, to me, really makes the hairs stand up on me.
It blows your mind, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
And you've got to say, I mean, everyone says, why do you do the paranormal stuff? Why do you sit in the dark? Why do you do this? That's why.
Yeah. It sometimes it can be so rewarding. I mean, another example of that crusader, I mean, at the time, Jane, my medium, was with us, and we had another one with her friend. And they worked, at one point, they worked together very well. And they were sat there, and this crusader was talking to me. He said, get the women out if you want to talk to me. And he was saying this all through the spirit box. And I said, I'm sorry, no. I said, I appreciate how it was in your day, but in this day and age now, in modern times, women are equal. And I said, and them two ladies there, you've got a better chance of communicating direct with them through mind, and because they're spiritual mediums, than you have with me through instruments and gadgets. I said, so no, I'm not going to ask the ladies to leave. They're staying here. And if it means that you're not going to talk to me, so be it. And he accepted it and carried on talking to me. he accepted it, and I thought that was amazing.
Because if you think about it, those Steve, they were somebody who lived.
Yeah.
So they've got to understand, we've got to try and understand where they're coming from, and they've got to understand where we're coming from. So it's like it's a learning process for the living and for those who have passed.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
what I always do at any investigation. I always trying to get on the same wavelength of the people what I'm communicating with, i.e. like a military base, lights of this and anything. And you've got to, if the spirits want to communicate with you, you've got to be polite for a start. There 100%. Was once a living being. They did have a personality. It's no good being offensive or ordering, commanding and things like that. You've got to get them to warm to you. You've got to get them to like you. They're not performing seals or puppets, and then you've got to respect that. And so that I'd found, if I'm in an old military place, I'd play them some tunes, like old Glenn Miller, old wartime tunes and that, and they love that. They warm to you then, and they'll come forward and want to communicate with you, and that's how it all starts.
It's true, because if you put a song, if the song comes on, we've all got TikTok, we've all got Facebook, we've all got these social media things, and if a song comes on that you like, you're automatically attracted to it. Yeah. It doesn't matter who's in the room or what. You hear that song that you're attracted, you automatically do it. So if you think about them in that time, that wartime music was what they were attracted to.
Yeah, because they could be trapped in the building or just visiting that building from the other side or whatever, and the only songs they will hear is modern day songs in that building, and to hear one of the tunes what they liked from back in their day, it brings all the it brings it. And we were in it's a big old mansion, used to be. It was privately owned, and the person who owned it apparently donated it to the army in World War One, and it was used as a hospice. So we were playing some old tunes, and the medium said, it was a nurse. We were in the big boardroom where they used to do meetings, and I put the tunes on. I think it was We'll Meet Again. What we've sung that now.
Don't know where. Yeah.
And the medium said, a face of this nurse, spirit of this nurse, what used to care for all the injured in the army and that, said her face is lit up and she's dancing round the room. And she was absolutely made up, the fact that we played these tunes for her. And it works. You've got to go in with the mindset that these spirits have a personality and feelings. You do get negative spirits. Of course, if you just like in modern in the living now, you've got bad people, you've got good people. You've got a mixed variety of all kinds of different people. And it's just and when they go onto the other side, they take that personality with them. And you've got to show that respect. Simple as. If they want to communicate with you and you show them respect, they will do.
Exactly. And it's true, because if I come down to you and say, hey Steve, I want you on my show, now you go, who are you talking to?
Yeah.
But if I come down to you, like I did, I said, Steve, will you do us a favour, will you come on the show? It's courtesy.
I've watched other paranormal groups and they go, they more or less demand, can you do this, do that, and you think, it's the wrong way to do it. You've got to ask them and ask them nicely, and you've got to say please and thank you. And I'll say to someone, listen, if you could, please, can you make that ball flash coloured lights, or can you put a torch on, or whatever, move a trigger object, whatever. And if you do, I promise you, we'll all give you the big clap. And then everyone claps, and they feed off that energy then of everyone clapping. Or I'll say to them, I'll play you a nice tune. Something like that, and it works. I found it all the time. That's the way I work, and we've had a lot of success with it. And these groups that go in demanding this and demanding that. If you've got to look at, if you was a spirit and a group come in demanding you to do it, and you'd think, Who the hell are you talking to?
I'm speaking to you.
I'm not jumping up and down in hoots for just because you say so. You would, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
You'd say, you know, I'm not your performance seal.
No, I
And
know
that's
exactly
it.
what you mean.
Yeah, you've got to. If you like that person and they were asking you nicely, and you would say, okay, I'll tell you about myself. I'll tell you who I am. I'll give you my name if I can. You know, yes and no, or whatever you want to, or whichever method you want to communicate with. And I'll do my best to tell you what you want to know.
And do you think, it's going to sound silly, but it's not. Do you think the way I do is, these spirits have got memories,
Yeah,
and when we come in the building, if we're nice to them, they'll, oh yeah, there's Jamie, or there's Steve
Yeah.
at the back. Oh, they might not know your name. You'll go, oh, I remember him. He was nice to me.
trust me, they do know
Yeah,
your name.
yeah.
I've even been to places where we put a spit, because I was blown away with it, because my medium said to me, that's happened because of what you do. It's not just a regular place you'll do where they know who you are. He said, your name gets all over the spirit world. And I went, seriously? And he went, yeah. And we were in, I tell you where we were in Williamson's tunnels underground.
Yeah, and Liverpool, yeah.
And Steve Hemingway, the author, was with us. He was on our team then. No, he wasn't. It was before he come on our team, but he was working with the Dark Hours and then Andy Evans, and they were working a joint investigation with us. And we had one of Anthony Sanchez's ghost acts playing through the spirit box. And that's another story, because I accused Anthony Sanchez of programming stuff in to say, and he gave me it down the banks, and he said, how dare you insult my intelligence. He said, a dictionary is put in for them to use them words to communicate with you. And I went, right, okay. Anyway, we had this playing, and Steve Hemingway said, he called out, how many spirits are in this room? And we got nothing. Nothing come through at all. And he said, okay, can you name one person in this room? And nothing come through. And he asked it, I don't know, must have been 4 or 5 times he asked that question. And I turned round to adjust one of the full spectrum cameras on the tripod. And as I turned round, he said, you can't name one, can you? And as I turned round fiddling with this camera, it went, Stephen White.
That's clear.
And I've got it on recording.
Yeah.
And I thought, wow. How can one of the spirits there know my name? But it did.
Yeah.
And Anthony Sanchez couldn't have programmed that into it. You know what I mean? So
Well,
it blew me away, that did.
Well, if you think about it, in the spirit world, there must be some kind of. We've got social media. We can communicate with anybody across the world, can't we? But we don't understand what goes on in the spirit world, and there could be something out there that is faster than what we've got now.
Yeah, and also, I think there's different levels. And I also believe in gatekeepers.
I agree to an extent. My opinion on the spirit world is there are different levels, like there are in where we are now. You know,
There's got to be some form of imagine this world without the law and the police. There'd be anarchy everywhere, chaos. Yeah, it's somewhat similar in the spirit world. That's why I believe in gatekeepers. I'll give you an example. There was a guy, I won't say his name. There was a friend of me and my brother's. He was more my brother's friend. My brother introduced me to him.
Yeah.
And the poor chap was dying of cancer. And he used to be a regular drinking in this pub, and now and again we used to go and do an investigation at weekends in the pub. And he said to us, because you two do what you do, when I pass, when you're doing an investigation in this pub, I'll come and talk to you. And he made us that promise.
Yeah.
And he did. He came, we had him on the SLS, sat up stool at the bar, and my brother had the Ovulus 3, and we were asking questions, and the words what was coming through could only have been related to words he was saying, like his favourite song, all kinds was coming to. It was too much of a coincidence for it not to be him. And the owner at the pub asked him a question, and he got an answer, and he went, "That's definitely right." His name, I won't say his full name, but his name was John, and he said, "That's definitely John, 100%. That is definitely John." And then all of a sudden, click, it stopped, like someone had turned the light switch off. And old Paul said, well, "What's gone on here now? Why has it all stopped? We were doing so well then with that communication." And I said, "Gatekeepers come and pushed him away." Because when you look at it, the technology we've got now, we're not really anywhere near us from finding out the answers.
No, I don't think we ever will.
No. And I think he was giving too much away. And the gatekeepers come, pushed him away. Because you're not meant to get them answers until you cross over yourself.
It's like the men in black over here in this world.
Yeah.
There are people there who stop you as soon as you get to a certain point. You know, if you think of the Roswell and things like that, you stop from area 50, is it area 51?
51, yeah.
You know, that you can't. So surely there's something like that, like you say, in the spirit world as well. But my belief in the spirit world is you're right with the levels, but you know, on our plane now, we're children. Then we move into teenagers, adults, elderly. Then we move on to the spirit world, and I think that happens in the spirit world. I think our era goes over, the era where, like, you know, in the 1800s, move on to another level, and we move on. Otherwise, we'd be, like you said, it'd be chaos.
Well, not only that. Also, if you work out how many people are on this world now living, then times it by the amount of years what this world has existed, and how many people have existed on this world. God knows how many that would be. It'd be phenomenal.
Well, if you think how many's crossed over.
So imagine all them what's crossed over. That would be vastly over. Whatever it is, it's got to be a space of infinity or different levels of some sort. It's got to be.
Yeah, there has to be, because life continues. Life goes on and on and on and on. Yeah. Whether it's a human, whether it's an animal, whether it's an insect, you know, everything's got a life and everything's got to cross over. Yeah, I'm with you on that one.
I quite often get the question, so you're a paranormal investigator? Yeah. So, is there a God? And is there a devil? I say, well, the amount of years I've been doing it, I can't answer that question. What I can answer is by saying there's definitely a good and there's definitely an evil. Whether it's God and the devil, I don't know. It could be an alien. That's another theory.
Yeah.
We could be an experiment by an alien, and it could be its arch enemy trying to destroy this experiment. There's a number of things, but there's definitely a good and a bad, without a doubt.
Yeah,
but I can't categorically say there's a God.
No.
But I'm Protestant. I'm not a Catholic, but I've never felt so close to needing that religious belief. Like, I've got these new tattoos for protection of St. Benedict, and I put holy water on me on a regular basis and everything. And I've never been and prayed so much in my life as what I do now, since being a paranormal investigator. And that's only because of all the things what's happened to me.
Yeah, I mean, I believe there's something out there.
Yeah.
Whether it's, I mean, it's man. I believe that man call it God, man call it the devil, because it's the only way we can identify with what we don't understand.
Yeah.
If you get that, you know, it's what we don't understand. I believe there's something beyond that we won't understand until we go over there, and whether we'll understand it, I do not know.
Yeah.
It's like you try and think about the planet, the universe. You know, and they say, "Oh yeah, there's an end to the universe."
There's
not. But there's got to be something beyond that.
There's only as far as we've been able to see.
We can't.
With what technology we've got to see that far, it could go a lot further. And when you weigh all this up now, I mean, you're going into a different theories now. There could be billions of other universes and trillions of billions of other planets. So in that case, the law of averages, Earth can't be the only one with life, can it?
No. So when you think like that, I mean, we are going into like a different subject here.
Yeah.
If you think like that, if there's another Earth like us, there's all them people or whatever life exists on them Earth, that's got to be spread out there. So anyway, going back to Merseyside Paranormal, this is what I love about just a relaxing conversation, is it can go any direction. You've been around for a while now, and you must have a place, and let's take Mill Street out the calculation. You must have a place that in your heart you love going to, because you know that more often you'll get something.
Well, one of them used to be in Newton Park, and we don't do that no more for other political reasons I don't really want to go into, but we don't do that no more. And it's become a bit of a circus lately anyway, with this like what these fairground attractions have, where a walking ghost train type thing with people hiding in costumes and all.
Oh, like the Farmageddons.
Yeah, they're doing all that, don't
Not saying that's bad.
It's
entertainment.
Yeah. And so, but that many years back was one of my favourite places. We've got many. We like doing a lot of the old ruins, like Rochdale Abbey.
Yeah.
And Lead Chapel, what I mentioned before. There's loads we do, mainly over Yorkshire actually, but there's loads we go, and we've had some fantastic nights. That's fantastic nights. I mean, we've had a couple of close calls. We were at, was it Rochdale we were at? No, it wasn't. Forget which abbey it was. And there's at the back of the ruin, the castle, there was an underground tunnel. And this tunnel used to be where they stored all the wine, because it was cooler. And it was all shut off. And it was before we started the investigation, and me and Billy's having a little mooch about round the back. And I said, I'm going to climb over and get in the tunnel. So anyway, he went,
even exploring that.
You're not here. I went, yeah. So I climbed over, and next minute Billy followed me. And so we walked down this tunnel, and we were calling out, and we've got the filming going, and there's these orbs shooting towards us as we're calling out. And then Billy said something, and the light of the camera screen was on, and I looked at Billy, and his face was changing, and his voice was changing, and I just looked at him and said, Billy, and he went, what? I said, get out. And he went, what? I said, out, and I just pushed him up, got him out. Because whatever was happening, whatever was there was having an effect on him, and I had to get him out straight away.
What's the word for that? Is it trans? It's trans something, isn't it, where your face changes?
Scrying.
Scrying. Oh, was he doing scrying?
We wasn't actually doing that, but that's what was happening.
Right.
Something was masking over him.
Yeah.
And whatever it was, I couldn't take a chance on it going any further and deeper and affecting him or whatever, so I just got him out of there. Yeah, we've had a bit of success with that scrying or scrying, whatever you want to pronounce it.
We all say it differently, don't we?
Yeah, we've had some good effects of that. I was doing it myself once. I've got a black mirror, and people do it with a normal mirror. We've done it with a normal mirror, but I've got a black mirror. It's supposed to be more effective. And funny enough, we were sat in Lead Chapel, and there was a lady from another paranormal group sat behind me looking over my shoulder watching. And now I have my reading glasses. Sometimes he's stuck on the top of my head. I didn't have them on. He wasn't stuck on the top of my head. He wasn't on my face. And I didn't have them on me at all. I didn't have a moustache. And I can show you the picture on my phone. She's looking over my shoulder. And then she burst out crying. And I went, what's up? She said, you've turned into me dad. And when we took a picture, and when I looked at the picture and zoomed in, you could see glasses on me and a moustache. And I thought, wow. So, and then we went to her house, and we done some screening in her house, but not in front of a mirror. we just put cameras round.
Yeah.
And one of her, I think his name was Dave, sat in a chair, like you and her, and we had cameras round, and we were asking spirits to wrap themselves round him and show themselves. Now I can show you pictures on my phone of him, and it doesn't even look like... You can see that something's sat on, more or less sat on his knee and wrapped round him.
So they're using him as a channel.
Yeah. And
channeling.
That was quite good. Yeah, it can be quite effective if you get in the right circumstances.
Yeah. Yeah. So before we finish though, Steve, because it's coming to that, because I've kept you long. Do you know I'm one of these people, I could talk forever.
Yeah,
if it was a 2-hour show, I'd still be the same.
People ask me in work certain things, and it turns into an hour's conversation, doesn't it?
I love that.
In the blink of an eye. Yeah.
What brought you? It's that final question. Is what brought you into the paranormal? What was the passion?
From being a kid, to be honest with you, and one word: Ouija board. In the 70s.
Yeah.
What happened was, to be honest with you, my uncle lived in America, and he got swept away in the lake, and they never found his body. And my gran, along with my mother and all the sisters, used to... I was only a kid. It was in the 60s. And they used to sit round my gran's table in the back kitchen. And they didn't have a Ouija board. They had all the, like, playing cards.
Yeah.
And they put them round in a circle, all the letters, and the yes and no, and like an homemade Ouija board. And they used it with the glass. And when you're a kid and you're watching it, and they were trying to contact him, because he never found his body.
Yeah.
And he was my godfather. And when you're watching that as a kid, you're fascinated. And then as I got a little bit older, I tried it in our house. And I think it was either me, I've only in recent years found it off my brother, because he was younger than me, and, you know, different friends and different circle of friends, different age gap when you're kids. And I didn't know, he'd done the same with his mates. So one of us, either me in that house, what we grew up in, or my brother, messed about with the Ouija board, and we've opened the doorway and someone came in that house. And it lived with us for many years. And when I got to my late teens, I thought, right, I could hear it in the landing, walking round. And I went and put my ear to the door, and I had hold of the door handle. And I thought, right, I'm not imagining this. I'm not a kid no more. I've grew up listening to these noises. And I was stood there listening to it with my hand on the door handle. And I knew exactly it was going past my brother's bedroom, across the top of the stairs, past my mother's room, past my room, into the bathroom, round the bathroom, out, and it was just going down in circles. And I could hear all the footsteps, clear as day. And I thought, right, I'm not a kid. I'm not imagining it. What am I going to do? Right, next time it comes to my door, I'm going to open the door quick and see what it is. And I opened it, run out, and there was nothing there. But all it's done, it done some nasty things to me mum. I mean, God rest my mum's soul. I don't know whether she'd thank me for mentioning it, but it pushed her downstairs and broke her leg. It done a few nasty things. But all it's done is fueled my enthusiasm to get answers. And that's what sparked it all off. Wow. And as I've got older, it's just carried on, you know what I mean? Yeah.
Steve, I've got to get you back on another time. We can do another hour on this.
We'll do it again, yeah.
Steve, again, thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure. Thank you very much. Cheers.
If you'd like to join our Facebook community, why not search for Access Paranormal Radio Podcast? There's always something very spooky going on the Access Paranormal Facebook page.
Hello, this is Gemma,
Finlay,
Aubrey,
and Michael.
We are Junior Paranormal Events, and welcome to the second episode of our spooky adventures. So in this episode, we're going to talk to you about Healey Dell Tea Rooms. Healey Dell Tea Rooms is in Rochdale in Greater Manchester. It's set in the heart of a ginormous nature reserve called Healey Dell, where there's lots of different history. So there's historical buildings there relating to World War II, such as a former munitions factory. There are old mills on site which date back to the 16th century and earlier. And there's a legendary fairy chapel where there's rumours of fairies and goblins and witches. It's a stunning location. But we go there and we investigate Healey Dell Tea Rooms, which is set right in the heart of the nature reserve. They serve gorgeous food. Ilango is well known for making the most fabulous curry. And the tea rooms themselves have connections to a lovely spirit called Eliza, which we're going to tell you more about. So we've investigated there a few times now. The last time we went there in September, it was quiet. I think we'd all admit that. But that happens. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to tell you our top few memorable experiences at Healey Dell. So first of all, I'm going to hand you over to Aubrey, who's going to tell us all about her memorable experience at Healey Dell. So Aubrey, what are one of your memorable experiences there?
So it was in the upstairs bit, and we were all sat down and we were all relaxed, and we was calling out, and we heard like a weird noise, like a creak, and we turned on our torches because we thought someone was coming up the stairs, and the door to the kitchen had moved. So we put it back to closed, and we walked off and just said that we thought it was a draft. And a few minutes later, it did the same thing, and it was just weird what happened, and we couldn't really debunk it.
So in the tea rooms, we have a basement, we have a ground floor room, which has got a kitchen. There's then a beautiful ornate staircase, and then there's an upstairs, and it's the upstairs bit where that happened with you.
Yes.
Like, to give you a picture of it, it's like a little patisserie with a little kitchenette, and to get into the kitchenette, it's like the old style bar swing doors. Probably the best way to describe it.
Mm-hmm. Finlay, what's your memorable experience?
So mine was when we're down in the basement.
Which is, it's a very weird space, isn't
it?
Yeah,
quite small. And Eliza was talking to us through several pieces of kit. And she was flicking the torch on and off. And every time she did it, the REM bear went off.
And the K2 meter went off as well, didn't it? You were with me in my group when that happened.
Yeah.
So what did we try and do it? Because it was like torch, K2, REM bear, torch, K2, REM bear. So what did we try and do to try and debunk that?
What did we do?
At first we thought it was a torchlight reflecting off the bottles, didn't we, which was triggering it off. So we tried that, but that wasn't the case. And we tried lots of different ways. We even checked to see if the group on the floor above us were using anything, and they weren't. We just couldn't explain it, could we?
Yeah, we couldn't just say it was the other groups.
No. Have you ever seen that, like, multiple pieces of kit go off like that?
Nope.
No, me either, I haven't. It was very incredible. Yeah. Michael?
So, on a lighter note, there is one funny story we always have with Healey Dell. And what we do at Healey Dell is we do our events slightly differently. And we take our guests for a walk around the Dell so we can get them to understand, obviously, outdoor activities, and how to do paranormal investigation in an outdoor environment, but just try and teach them the pitfalls of it. But this one evening, and I wasn't part of the walk at the time, and I'll let probably one of the juniors tell you about who or what they bumped into. So, who wants to say what you saw?
Go for it, Aubrey.
We were walking back after doing a walk around.
So just to clarify, this was January, it was pitch black. There was not a single source of light in the dell, was there, other than torchlight?
Yeah.
So that's important.
So we were walking down and there was like a guy and he was walking with like a light, but it was like a box thing, but it wasn't a proper light. And he was just marching right into walking out of pitch blackness, and we were all wondering what was he doing. So then we walked back and we were all laughing about it because one of the guests put a torch up at him. So then we was walking back and he came back, but he had a bag on his back. And before he didn't even have a bag on his back, so it was very weird. And it was just weird, and we was all saying, check the news in the morning.
Do you remember that, Finlay?
Yeah.
It was very strange, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was just very odd. But that leads me kind of into what's happened. Well, not happened with me, but what I've seen as quite a memorable moment is that evening we were actually doing some filming. And although while I was trying to edit the filming, it was quite amusing because that was the main story behind it as a team, was the fact that there was this man who'd gone into the woods. Why did he go into the woods? But out of all that, there was a couple of things that happened while I was looking. So our doll Hannah, we've actually got footage of her moving, and like it looks like she's shaking.
So Hannah had been a bit of a diva that night, hadn't she?
You was there that night.
She insisted on sitting on a table with us in the downstairs tea room. She insisted on having a china cup and saucer, and she insisted on having a couple of sugar cubes put in her drink. And she'd been sat there and she was next to Vicky. And Vicky was sat there and Vicky was asking out and, just talking to Hannah and
yeah.
Will you describe what happened?
Yes.
She was being a bit of a diva.
So as Vicky kind of moved her hands, and you can see she only really moves the hands, Hannah on the table actually shakes, but nothing else on the table shakes. So it can be seen that the doll moves and the rest of the stuff doesn't. With it being China, you would see and hear the other stuff. The thing that makes it even more credible is the team who were watching her reacted to her shaking as well. So it's not like one of the team caught the table, I felt, and did it, because we are very honest about stuff like that. But also, while we were doing the recording, we were recording upstairs later on, and while we were recording upstairs, we are asking out and trying to get some interaction. If I remember rightly, we've got some torches being interacted with and we feel like we're communicating. But then while I was listening back to the recording, there is a name that's spoken over the recording, and it is the name of somebody in our team. And that person just so happened to be the person who worked at the tea room as well. Yeah, I'm not going to say much more about who or what, because not sure on how they would feel, but they've heard it. The team have heard it.
And everyone said the same thing.
I didn't say what it said. I just said, I'm going to play you something back. And yeah, it was something to listen back to. I know we've had audio phenomenon before.
That's like class A.
But the fact that we could hear it, and the fact that I've shared it with a lot of other people, and they all said the same thing, they're exactly what it said, it just gives it that bit more credibility about what was said. There was only one other male there, and that's me. My voice, I think, is quite distinctive, and I would have known if it was me saying it. Gemma, what about your most memorable
Well, as just to echo what Finlay said about the multiple pieces of kit going off in the basement, I was there when that happened, and I have never seen that happen before, ever. I don't know if we'll ever see it happen again. It was one of the most incredible things I've ever seen down there, and in general, really, in terms of interaction. I'm going to go back to the night when we were filming with the team, which was in January this year, and unfortunately I was really frustrated because this was not caught on camera, but I was upstairs with my small group in the upstairs tea room, and Aubrey was saying about the kitchen doors moving. We were all at the back of the room and we kept on seeing the doors move, didn't we? So we kept on moving forwards and going and having a look at these doors, and Vicky and I went and did it at one point. And as Vicky and I are approaching these doors, we heard a male's voice right behind us that sort of went in our ear like that. It made us jump and we ran. We ran to the back of the room. And then we're talking to everyone and we're explaining to them what just made us jump. And we're standing there and the camera is right near us at this point. And the kitchen doors move again. So somebody else goes and has a look. And me and Vicky are stood back because we're a bit unnerved by this point. And it did it again. It was right in between the two of us. It was really loud and it was a really deep male, moan. And we thought, oh, the camera's next to us. It's going to have picked it up. It's going to be amazing. It proves to everybody. Nothing. Not a single thing. So yeah, that was quite incredible as well.
It is funny though, isn't it, when we're doing the recording, that stuff we hear sometimes doesn't get picked up, and stuff we don't hear gets picked up. And it's one of them obviously phenomenon that nobody will be able probably to answer as to why that happens, but that was the same night that we were doing the same lot of recording.
Absolutely. But we've just been, we just came back from last weekend doing a special Halloween event at Healey Dell, didn't we? During the day, where we took all our haunted dollies and that's...
Their Halloween.
Yeah. And we've also written about Healey Dell Tea Rooms for Haunted magazine as well. So there's lots of information out there about them. And you do need to follow them on Facebook. So it's the Healey Dell Tea Rooms, Rochdale. It's amazing, isn't it? And Finlay, what do they make the best there?
Tea.
And it's loose leaf tea, isn't it? It's beautiful.
So really, I think all of us can't wait to go back next year.
Yeah.
And we do our Dine with the Spooks again, and we have our little get together. And as we always say, Lisa and Alango
are brilliant, very good friends of ours.
Good friends of ours.
So we have been Junior Paranormal Events. I am Gemma.
Finlay.
Aubrey.
And I'm Michael.
Please do check us out on all social media. We are on Facebook, YouTube, X, Instagram, TikTok, and we also have a website, www.juniorparanormalevents.co.uk. And thanks for joining us for this episode of our spooky adventures. Until next time, stay spooky.
Bye.
So that was Junior Paranormal and their spooky adventures over there in Healey Dell Tea Rooms. Well, it's coming to the end of the show, and I've got to say a huge thank you to Steve White from Merseyside Paranormal and again to Junior Paranormal. We'll be back again next week, same time, and we'll see you then. From Access Paranormal, good night.